Welcome, welcome. Oh, and here comes this way. Give me a second. Here we go. Hey,
Hey, what's up,
what's
Liz? How you
up?
doing?
I'm well. How about you, brother?
I'm well. I'm well over
Good,
here at the
good.
Sankofa Center. In
Nice.
between, in between everything, kind of, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it happen.
That's
Double,
right. That's
triple
right.
boogie. Excited, getting ready for tonight. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes. So let's give some quick introductions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Liz. As everybody who might be joining us knows, my name is Liz. I'm the ED of Oakland Rising. Oakland Rising is a collaborative that does build electoral power for the flatlands of Oakland. And I'm so excited today because I feel like I was so blessed to actually meet you this way.
Mm.
And we know each other through personal spaces,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm so happy to actually take some of our personal space and like actually the overlap in our work.
Yeah.
So if you want to go ahead and introduce yourselves this way, that'd be really, really appreciated.
Well, first of all, Liz, I just want to say thank you. It's an honor. For some reason, I think my way to counter like screen and Zoom fatigue is just moving. So when I can move instead of sit, I will move. So I don't want to like get y'all dizzy, but just know that that's why I'm moving because I don't necessarily want to sit right now.
Got
And I
it.
just want to say thank you. And yes, it's a blessing to be here. It's a blessing to share energy with you. Definitely want to big ups to everyone I'm seeing. Dream, big ups to Dream, big ups to my cousin Kwasi. And anyone else that I don't see, just know that the love is felt. And yeah, it's just an honor to be here. I mean, I'm the co-creator of Spearitwurx. Spearitwurx is an organization based out of Oakland, ran by my wife and I, and many other peripheral partners that show up when time is needed. But really, our focus is intergenerational wellness, and it was a concept that came to us about 2 years ago because we were noticing everything was trauma centered and trauma focused. And I
That's right.
think we truly believe that, word sound is power. And a lot of what we want is an energetic thing as well. Right. So we have to actually
Mm.
change the energy, change the voice, change the sight of what we want. We're very we're clear on what we don't want. And then when you say, well, what do you want? It's like crickets sometimes. And
Right?
it's just crickets. And what I've realized really is we haven't practiced that enough. We haven't been asked that enough. We haven't been, you know what I mean? So it's just, I'm learning a lot of this work, a lot of these quote unquote healing modalities, a lot of the wellness work. Like my brother, he's a yoga instructor, and he always
Mm.
says it's a yoga practice, not a perfect. And I
Mm.
think I think that's really what it comes down to in all of these modalities that we have just around wellness. It's just practice, maybe practice saying I'm sorry. Practice saying, it's just a practice. Well, I ain't gonna humble up and do that. They said actually just practice and see what happens. It
Yeah.
actually might lead you to a path where you don't feel like a sucker. You don't feel like you compromise yourself, but you actually took a step further, and it's a stronger position now. You're both moving from a place of power because you're both able to be vulnerable with each other to create something a little more meaningful.
That's right. You know what I really love about the word practice,
Mm.
that what you said, that it's not perfect, it's practice, is
Mm-hmm.
that it gives you room to mess up
There you go.
and then to make and then come back from that and
Mm-hmm.
then do the repair if needed, or to just know like at any time it's learning. It's about learning,
There you go.
right?
And I mean, and even when you think about, I mean, that's why what y'all did with rice and beans was so brilliant. And I think y'all kept and fostered the love of learning within the children. Cause I swear that piece is just stifled.
That's right.
Imagination is stifled, and then it just becomes very prescriptive, very what is it, conveyor belt kind of I feed you information, you feed me this information back in the way that I want to hear it, or there's something wrong with you. It's just kind
That's right. That's right.
we got some crazy stuff. We got some work to do, y'all. We got some work to do. I
And I really
swear.
appreciate what you said too, Sizwe, about that we're always looking at the problem. And the thing
Mm-hmm.
is, instead of thinking about what's the liberatory space I'm trying to create,
There you
because,
go.
and what ends up happening with that is that, you know, even I've been lately, and this could be very controversial, is I've been lately struggling even with the word like racial, social
Mm-hmm.
justice,
Mm-hmm.
because then that means that we're seeking something, and the centering of that is still white supremacy,
Yes.
right? Because it's always like, what do we need to do to get justice within this, instead of like, what are the things that we need to do to create a world that we all need to live in and thrive in. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not to say I'm not going to use those words, because we
Mm-hmm.
still live within a white supremacist society, right? But
Yeah.
like that,
Mm-hmm.
it's been making me think more about, oh, what are the ways in which we need to be talking about what we're creating and not
Mm-hmm.
about what we're trying to counter, um,
Right.
because that's where we need to be. And so this is actually a practice of that.
Mm-hmm.
Is this IG Live is, we called it Monday Meals because I used to do this side gig, and I know your son will probably really know about this because he runs that side hustle too, right? Where it's
Yeah.
his hustle actually about food.
Mm-hmm.
Is I used to do this. I used to make food all on Sunday, and then I would deliver it to people, or people would come pick it up on Monday for lunch.
Mm.
So what ended up happening with it is that every time I saw folks, they would check in with me, and I would get to hear about how they're doing. So we decided that we would create this here with Oakland Rising, where we're checking in with folks about like where things are at in the movement, and like what are people doing, what do they need to lift up. But
Mm.
as we do that, then I get to check in. I get to say like, how are you doing? What are you having for lunch
Right.
first? Because I know a lot
Okay.
of people skip in food,
Yes.
which breaks my heart because I love to feed.
Yep.
And so first is, what are you having for lunch this way?
I'm actually glad you lifted that up because we be so revolutionary by the end of the day. We be revolutionary on one cup of coffee. You know what I mean? Talking about, yeah, we gonna take down we ain't taking down, excuse my language, we ain't taking down shit on a cup of coffee. And just really learning, and even our longevity of, yeah, we may be good for these next 10 years, but we gotta be good for 50 years, y'all.
I'm
We
saying.
we, we gotta truly become elders. So there is that piece around just prioritizing your health and your wealth and you know what I mean, centering
That's right.
you. So
That's right.
thank you for lifting that up. And fortunately, you mentioned it. So Faya is actually cooking at the house right now. So he's getting ready for the event this evening. So that's going to be a part of my lunch. He's actually making a jerk chicken, jerk mushroom, rice and peas, and side salad with a roll, and a little juice. And yeah, he's putting the big thing together. I think it's going to be hopefully about 100 people we'll see tomorrow, and that he'll feed tonight. Excuse me, not
Wow.
tomorrow, but tonight at West Oakland Middle School. So we're having our second in-person healing-centered listening session for Black families in regards to the reparations resolution here in Oakland.
That's right. I appreciate that. Well, tell everybody too, because he's doing that for this piece of your work together as a family. But then your son does a whole thing on the side, and so like let's share that out, because we need folks to get on that, because that food is hella good, y'all.
Well, yeah. Well, if y'all could, if you're not following yet, go to Cooking Fire. COOKINFIYAH, and that's my son, Cooking Fire. And like I say, we're getting ready for our event with OUSD this evening, and he's just really he's 16 years old. He's been running this business for about 2 years, and just watching his growth and development has been beautiful. And really looking at, because going back to what you're saying, he's been in it so long, right? He'll say stuff at the dinner table, and I don't want to put him on blast, but do we really got to talk about social justice tonight, for real? Like, he'll give me that look, like, for real?
Come on.
Come on.
Come
Like,
on.
is there anything right in the world? And then I had to start thinking about it like, dude, what is he receiving and what are our children receiving when everything is wrong all the time, when we're constantly fighting, we're not celebrating anything, we're not laughing, nothing's
That's
funny,
right.
nothing's joyous, nothing. Like, okay, god damn,
That's
what
right.
kind of, do our children even want that? So 9 times out of 10 they might pivot and be like, you know what, Pop, you keep all that social justice over there because I want to live a life that's actually joyous, and I want to
That's
live a
right.
life that's, so it's very important that we balance the work with play.
Right.
And I think that's what anything we do, whether you're a doctor, lawyer, social worker, how do we bring our whole self inside of a world that says, no, this is transaction.
Ah, I love that. And that leads me to my next question, which is a
Mm-hmm,
part about the Monday meals is what are the ways in which that you nourish yourself, right? Well, physically eating that really good food by your
mm-hmm,
son.
mm-hmm,
But then also like what are the ways that you like your heart, your mind, your spirit? What's one way? And then I want folks to drop that in the chat. Like share what are you
mm-hmm,
eating for lunch?
mm-hmm.
Somebody put in the chat, I have to admit, it looks like Truth Divine. Have to admit that fasting needs to be intentional and not just habitual because you hadn't prepared to eat. That's
Yeah,
true.
that's
But
me.
what are you eating, Divine? What are you eating for
Mm-hmm,
lunch? So that how are you nourishing yourself? And then beyond just like food, right, and filling our stomachs, what are the ways
mm-hmm.
that you're like your heart, your mind, your spirit? How are you doing that? You shared a little bit right now, but what are
Yeah,
the other ways?
I would say honestly, it's been the music for me lately.
Yeah.
I decided to just really, honor that side of me, and that's the art. I've actually pushed that down for a very, very long time.
Mm.
Holding circles, holding the pain of the community, and I never wanted to blend the two. And I'm finally at the point now where, you know what, the medicine is actually through the music. It's also through the art as well. You know what I mean? And I could actually reach more people, through the music. So how do I really just, that's kind of been it's my therapy. That's what I've realized. Like the music is
Mm.
my therapy. And even when you see me coming together with the folks that I'm engaging in music with, just know that there's processes behind the scenes. I already told all my folks, if you're moving transactional through it, it's not going to be sustainable.
That's
Like
right.
we're really just trying to, like, looking at people that haven't talked. I mean, quite. I hate to. I can't even. I kind of want to blow the top on it, but I don't. Just know that you didn't see three members of the Far Side in the last video by accident. And
Hey,
just know that it's bigger than hip hop right now.
that's right.
Like my brothers is really coming together to heal and bring this music back. So 2022, the Bizarre Ride is gonna have its 30th anniversary. So I'm telling you,
What?
2022 is about to be a crazy year for all Far
Dude,
Side fans.
my
Just get
brain
ready.
just blew up. 30 years? No
Get ready.
way.
It's the 30-year anniversary of the Bizarre Ride, and
What?
2022 is gonna be a bizarre ride. So just get ready. Just get ready for that. So that's, like I
And
say,
y'all,
that's keeping me grounded. That's keeping me happy. And it was funny, just really spending time with my queen. To be honest
aww.
with you, I just really just want, me and Mizan have never spent 1 week uninterrupted together in the 20 years that we've known each other. And, I would just like that. I would just like to just spend 1 week with my wife. And
Aww.
my children are getting older now. So
That's
it's
right.
like, not only are we able to let go a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and to be honest, the reason why it's like this is, I mean, in transparency, some of our own trauma and own skewed stuff. Like, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
the type of brother to just leave my children anywhere. I'm sorry.
That's right.
I'd rather hold them close and make sure that I'm doing all I can to to
Mm-hmm.
nurture and protect them.
Mm.
And and it's been a blessing. Like I say, even prioritizing family over the music allows me to really do the music in the way that I want to do it now. I remember
Mm.
I intentionally was like, look, I'm not going back on tour. I mean, Fire was like not even a year old when I was looking at his face. I
Right.
was like 6 months on the road. Within that 6 months, I would miss so much of his development, so many
Mm.
jewels I would. So I was
Mm.
like, the road and being a superstar and being a rapper. You
Mm.
serious?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be a father. and be a husband. And at
Right.
that time, it wasn't very popular. But now that I'm looking around, I see that I'm loving all the young families popping up now, and folks really wanting to, young brothers, especially like young brothers, really holding they daughters down, holding their sons down.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to go binary right now, but I'm sorry, I have to lift up my brothers because sometimes we do not get the recognition we deserve for being great fathers. We get that the other narrative is lifted up so much that the good fathers out there that I know, that I talk to, that I've shed tears with, that I've held space for, they
Mm-hmm.
do exist and they're out there. And I just want to lift them up.
And I want to say I see that every day too. Like I just see, and that it breaks my heart to just be like, oh, we're only putting out this narrative, this one narrative about how people are, any people, right? Like,
Exactly.
and so especially when I think about when I know so many amazing fathers. I know so many amazing parents, right?
Right.
And so I appreciate you. I appreciate every time I see your family. And I just want to give context, like folks who don't know what Rice and Beans is. Rice and
Yeah.
Beans is a cooperative preschool. And so it's built on the principles of social justice. So you can look it up, find Rice and Beans on Facebook. They moved from being, we used to, when my kids were there, my kids are all grown now, not grown like adult, but they're big. And so but when we were there, it was near Eastside Arts Alliance in San Antonio. And now it's actually a forest school. So they're out, Teacher Dina Suarez and Teacher Martha they're taking their kids outside. So that's happening outdoors now. So if you are looking for a preschool, that's an amazing preschool. I love the structure, and those are now my lifetime. I mean, we are planning our lives together into the future, and from our children's when they were toddlers to now, we're talking about how we're gonna generationally build into the future. And so that's what this way is like referencing. And then, I mean, today, the reason why I brought you on today was because we had talked to the, folks early on about we helped to rally and get people to move to the OUSD school board directors meetings around passing the resolution for the reparation for Black students. We didn't lead the campaign. I just want to say that we brought folks on to talk on Monday Meals and tried to help move our base to support that, because I really feel it is indicative of all of us to be involved in this. And so brought you on to talk about that because you mentioned it too, how you're doing these listening sessions. You're going to have one in West Oakland. So like tell everybody about what that is, because when I heard about this, when I saw the flyer for this, I had chills. I was like, this is why we need this work. Like, this is what we're trying to build. So tell us about it. Tell everybody and bless everybody with that information.
Yeah, well, first of all, I just want to give a shout out to Kampala, Colia, and all the organizers that have actually brought us to this point. I don't want to say they've made our work easy, but just know, similar to you, you know what I mean? There's been a lot of people that were at the forefront before I got here, and I just want to make sure those names are acknowledged and brought into the room.
That's appreciated.
And lift it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to start there. Spearitwurx, our main role within this campaign is really to create space to really get authentic feedback from community. And the issue was funny. I don't want to give no names, but I was talking to some folks earlier, some of my reporter homies. I was trying to get them to come out. And they were like, Sway, come on. We've done this before. We sat here before. We've talked. They've extracted information. And I think that's the hardest part for us, is really trying to massage that whole thing. And I think that's why they brought Spearitwurx in, not only because they know that within our capacity, we're going to make sure the rubber hits the road, but for two, it's a process of how you get information from folks. And not even get information, is allow information to flow in a space that doesn't feel extractive. if you know what I
Tell
mean.
it. Tell
You
it,
know what I
Sizwe.
mean? So that's step one. So that's step one. You know what I mean? So that's really what we're trying to do here. We're providing meals for, like I said, my son's cooking tonight. We
Mm,
also have gift bags and more so just opportunities. You know, we have an agenda, but really the agenda is always revealed by who shows up. Like, for example, we had a series of questions at a Coma market. There was a group of mothers that came, and their conversation really wasn't about OUSD. It was about
mm.
how do I hold my family accountable? How do we as community hold our
Right,
community accountable?
right.
And there was actually some pushback in our debrief on that, and I was just like, no,
Mm,
we can't try to make their answers fit into what we're trying to capture. This is with the hearts and the minds of these particular mothers right here that are saying enough is enough, and how can we use our agency
right,
and you know, to really create the transformation that we want to see before we go out asking others for this,
right,
right?
right.
And then when we think about reparations, what does it mean? What does
Yes,
reparations and OUSD mean? If
right.
I ask, you know, it's not even on an educational level. If I ask the average person in Oakland, just walking down the street, yo, what does reparations mean to you? Not only are we gonna get a lot of different answers, we might
Hmm.
even get a lot of folks that's like, I don't really know what you're talking about. I'm gonna wing it. Like, what is reparations? I gotta be
Right.
real within
Yeah,
our
because
social.
there a lot of people immediately when they think reparations, they go 40 acres and a mule. What does that have to do with OUSD and my school?
Yep. And you know, I gotta pull the social justice card out a little bit. I gotta pull our
Mm-hmm.
card, y'all. We talk a
Mm-hmm.
lot about privilege, and we forget how privileged we are.
That's
So
right.
when we're talking about going out, like asking people about reparations, how many of our folks really even know what that means? Like I say, and how to
Right.
articulate it. So let's start there. I think really it's about just creating space, and that's what we're
Mm,
realizing is our people need space to slow down. I think we mentioned it
mm,
in this conversation already. Is
that's
that
right.
there's really no space to slow down. Everything is production, production, production. How do we take care of ourselves? How do we reflect on what we want? How do we know what we want if we've never been asked? How do we know if all we felt is harm from the school system? How can I trust it? How can I really implement
Right.
myself in it?
Right.
I feel shame every time I walk on campus because it's my son or my daughter again that they're calling me about. There's never nothing positive.
Mm,
You know, there hasn't been any repair from last semester when I went off on the principal, or the principal, you know, talked to me crazy. So
mm,
this is our starting point.
right.
So really, let's go back to that word practice.
That's right.
Come practice with us, y'all. I guarantee you. You come get with Spearitwurx. It's gonna be some practice,
Mm-hmm.
and practice might look. You know, it may not always look how we want it to look.
Mm,
There may be some venom in the room. There may be some tears in the room. There may be some arrogance in the room. There's gonna be all of these things in the room. But
right.
at the end of the day, how do we navigate it? Because all of these things are in our world. All,
Yes. Yes. And that's the thing is, that's I love that you brought that up because I've just been I don't know, somebody was saying this to me the other day, we're dealing with Oakland is dealing with we're hurting.
yeah,
Our people are
yeah,
hurting. And it is there's some vile stuff that is happening out there in the world and it's this is the trickle down.
hmm
We keep thinking that trickle down means prosperity is going to trickle down, but what trickles down is pain.
yeah.
And our people are and our communities are really in a lot of pain. And so we've seen a lot of violence and a lot of death in Oakland this year.
hmm
And it's just been increasing. And people like to think that it's just because the pandemic, but we've been talking about it way before that, right? We
Yeah,
saw the buildup, and Oakland Rising really has been at the place where we've been thinking about policy, 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 and
yeah,
governance, 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 and what that's supposed to look like. But that for me sometimes is the hard place to sit
mm,
because policy doesn't move fast enough for
right,
people, you know?
right.
And and then you start talking about it and people are like, nah, I just need the good vibes. Don't bring me
Mm,
down. Like, don't talk about how hard things are. Why, let's all just be one human race, you know? There are
Mm-hmm.
no issues. Like, we all just need to, you know, get together and just, you know, I don't know what the hell, kumbaya it. But like, but you know, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, change comes with conflict.
Hmm.
And conflict is uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Conflict brings discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's anger, sometimes it's just I got to reflect on how much shame comes up,
Right.
or it
Right.
could be we got to actually take account for all of the things, like how we all show up in any way, right? Like that's just uncomfortable. We got
Yeah.
to look in the mirror and see all of the scars that we bear, right?
Yeah.
And I think um that people think that those two things are separated, like
Mm-hmm.
that I could um, be uncomfortable and not be joyous. They think
Mm.
that those things can't happen at the same time. That
Mm-hmm.
we can create space that's actually like um, that's uncomfortable
Mm-hmm.
and addresses what's in the room and still do it in a joyous, loving way.
Mm. I
And I
say.
think when I think about the work that Spiritwurx does, and this whole idea around reparations for Black students and reparations in general, that is that. It
Mm.
is really a place where discomfort is going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
but we can do it in a joyous and loving way.
Right. And truly begin to imagine. I mean, you drop
That's
so
right.
many gems. You drop so many gems. Let's maybe just take a minute, 10 seconds to just digest that. Just digest, let the people digest that real quick. You know?
Hmm.
Just digest that real quick. I'm
Oh yeah.
actually glad you brought up the policy. Mizan and I, and it's not a new concept, but
Mm.
we truly believe that the work is the three eyes. It always is going to come back to the three eyes:
Mm.
individual, interpersonal, institutional, and then that fourth that we play with is kind of ideology. You know what I mean? How is our
Mm.
ideology transforming through all of these things?
Repeat that
Right.
again. Individual.
Yep. So it's an internal process of healing
Mm-hmm. Right.
or transformation, an
Mm-hmm.
individual, excuse me, an interpersonal process
Mm-hmm.
of transformation, and an institutional process of transformation.
That's right.
So these are the three eyes that we speak of. Because once again, I'm the guy. If y'all ever seen the Muppets, the old men in the bandstand throwing popcorn. As I get older, I kind of become that guy because I really have to call it for what it is. We can no longer, as frontline workers, go out and smash an institution without smashing the bullshit in our life, without smashing the bullshit internally.
Mm.
Because we're going to smash an institution and recreate that institution immediately because we didn't practice another way. The fight keeps us
Mm.
in, and this is my opinion. I'm definitely open to any other feedback, pushback. This is not absolute, but this is Sizwe's worldview. I truly believe that institutions are simply ran by people. So how do we get into the hearts and minds of those people?
That's right.
The problem is capitalism. Money is a tricky thing. If I've had millions of dollars forever and I get my yacht and I do this and I'm just used to a certain lifestyle,
Right.
it's hard for me to say, you know what? Like, for example, we got the Sankofa project, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had a sliding scale of 161.19 and 16.19.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is you'll have a millionaire pay 16.19 and want everything. Instead of just saying, you know what, let me give you maybe $16,000 for this
Mm-hmm.
experience.
Mm-hmm.
Not because you asked, but it's because it's the right thing to do because of what I'm holding, what this is valued at, and all
Right.
this, there's so many games that we play.
Right.
The 48 laws of power or whatever that we read, and we just try to take advantage and manipulate each other all the time.
All the time.
All the time. I've never seen a full transparent budget in a nonprofit organization. Ever. What I saw was, Sway, this is what you get paid. and this is what you get paid. It's all good. I don't mind you getting paid this, but the problem is, building the curriculum. What is my value? Is my value $15 an hour while you making 6 digits up top? Like, this is within nonprofits. So this is what I'm saying. We can't go smash an institution and rah, 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 and fight, 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 unless that same fight is as passionate for our own demons, our own impersonal work. Go apologize to that person that you did wrong. You did something wrong. You did something wrong, period. I get it. They wronged you. I did this. I get it. But sometimes we ain't humble enough just to be like, okay, you know what? Let me go apologize to my mother. Let me go apologize to this person. Let me go. That is the hardest work for me to do. I say it all the time. To be Brother Sizwe, relatively, is easy. Because all I got to do is go to a school, get with the brothers squad. So you know what I'm talking about. I'll go to Hayward for an hour and be the superstar. I have all this information for the young people. I got all this. I got all that. But see, my children, that's where the work begins. Because after I've given all my work to the community, Saba going to be looking at me like, yo, I still want some. Fire going to be looking at me like, I still want some. Pharaoh going to be looking at me like, I still want some. Omega's going to be, I'm intentionally saying 4 names because those are 4 energies and 4 people. And not to mention Sinai, my 5th son, that's going to be like, I get it. You're doing this community work. I get it. But guess what? I just want to go to the movies this weekend, Dad.
I just want to lay here and hug you. Like, that was me this week, Sizwe. I've been working so hard this week, and I don't like to put that out there, but I worked 7 days this week, and 3 of them were past 12-hour days. And and my kids are a little older, so they can be on their own for a lot of things. But I asked them this morning, how are you? Because we haven't been able to see each other. And they looked at me and were like, how are you? How are you? We're okay.
Exactly.
We're okay. How are you doing? And I was like, whoo, you just checked me. And I really had to think about that. Oftentimes we are vessels for this change that we're trying to make in the world, right? Not just the change, but this whole different way of being. And it sometimes feels like I'm a little boat in a big ocean.
Yeah.
And obviously, if we had all the boats lined up, it's all different, and we'd be, challenged with coming together, as little boats on a big ocean to take on the storm, to take on each other, to take on the sun, all of the things. And I think we have to remember that piece. So I really appreciate you coming on today, talking about, some of those spirit parts of it, like how are we taking care of ourselves and what are we doing? And
I was talking to my brother. Now go ahead. Go ahead.
Can I just say this one thing? So the 3 eyes that you were talking about, for me, translates into what I see as micro to global, right? Like what's the individual all the way to the global piece. And so I just wanted to appreciate you for those terminologies, and I'm going to sit with that. Y'all should sit with those three words: individual, interpersonal, and institution. But go ahead. You were saying something with your brother.
Well, yeah, I was talking to my brother about this reparations work and these things, and once again it got real social justice in the car, and I was like, you know what? I was like, you know what, King? It's a balance, dude. We have to balance, because guess what? I remember when I saw a D on Pharaoh's report card.
Oof.
I saw a D. Now I had 2 choices. I could have went straight to the institution.
Right.
Straight up. It's already, let's be clear, he goes to a Mandarin school, Mandarin immersion school. They were struggling with give thanks to Lily and all her efforts and all of our folks that was up there really creating the culture. But see, he missed that part of the school. Like the kindergartners, like everything that we built now is finally being implemented. The school is hella melanated now and all of these things, right? But guess what? Two things. I want to share two things with you. The first thing is that had nothing to do with the school. That had to do with me. I wasn't checking in on his homework. I didn't see him studying for tests. I did see him playing video games. Yeah. Why? Because I'm tired. Shit, I got to write this curriculum. So as long as he's happy, you see what I'm saying?
Right.
So for me to go smash that school is ignorant. Let me do everything I can first to make sure my son feels the confidence he needs. I'm sitting with him. He knows that I love him. He knows that he is smart and intelligent. And guess what? Shit changed around quickly.
That's right.
Now there are some things at the schools, and all I'm saying is always a balance of both.
Right.
I believe even now with a lot of the terminologies, we are becoming very, very, very polarized. And I believe it's very dangerous.
Very.
Right? It's very dangerous because everything, you know what I mean? No matter how good of a person I am, no matter how much work I've done, Liz, some shit could get real ugly if I fuck up a pronoun in 2021. From my own ignorance. Let me start here. From my own ignorance, because there's so much on my plate, I don't have really time to go study and really go in depth into one lane right now. Why? I just don't. That's a privilege. If you can do that, if you can sit around and read all day and really study, and once again, privilege. Right. Even if you're not able to pay your bills on time all the time. Privilege. We have to understand there's levels and layers to all of this. Right. And I think that'll help us humble up to be like, okay, I understand. This is my role. Let me control what I can control.
That's right. And I just think that even with the individual, the interpersonal, and the institutions, there is context.
Yes.
There's context to all of it. And so
I wish I had the diagram to show you, because what happens is there's this whole little thing, because what's happening is the institution is pushing out social toxins, and these toxins are raining down on us. They're impervious. I mean, poverty, homophobia, narratives around different races. I mean, the list goes on and on. We know what these social toxins are because we deal with them all the time. So even as a brother, no matter how righteous I claim to be, male patriarchy has permeated my psyche by default just by living here. So there's shit that I have to unpack. Right. There's blind spots that I have by default by living here. Yeah. But if I'm not doing that work.
That's the decolonized mind, right? It's the active decolonization of your mind. Yeah.
Exactly. But let me peep this. I want you to also peep this. And my household. You know how my children have been raised. Farrell actually also told me he's never experienced racism at his school. And everybody in the house started laughing. We was like, you got to be kidding me. And he was like, nah, I've never experienced racism. We know that he's experienced bias at that school, but when I'm thinking about his worldview, when I'm thinking about how he views the world, I really love it. Because they are not, my children are not letting me, my daughter, she speaks Mandarin and she's learning Spanish and she's about to dance in the quinceañera. She is not letting me, my children, I love it. Because it's like, look, y'all, I don't know what the hell happened back then, but we're creating a new world. And this is how I want my world to be. This is the tribe I'm creating. This is what we're going to, this is how we're going to live.
That's right.
Like Dad, I feel you. But I'm, she did a project talking about, it was like a box about her life and how she's breaking stereotypes. Mm-hmm. And she put a picture of me in there. I was like, what is this? What is this? She was like, Dad, I don't remember you not being there ever. So this whole stereotype about men and fathers not being there, I mean, she was like, you've been there more than Mom. I remember seeing you, because remember, Ms. I was getting her master's degree and going through all of that, going through yoga training and all of these things. So the children was like, Dad, you're tripping. Don't you ever, ever question your presence in our life.
I love that. You got me tearing up thinking about that.
Shit, so you know how I felt. You know what I mean? You know how
You're
I
like,
felt.
"Ah!"
You know, because even with all of my presence, even with all of this, I know I can't provide everything for them.
I
That's why I
heard that.
still check in with them. Like, yo, help me sharpen. What do y'all need? Where
I
can I
heard
be
that.
better?
I heard that.
You know.
So
So
we're coming up on time, but I just wanted to just so much gratitude to you, so much gratitude, and I just want to let folks know so they can go there. These listening sessions,
yeah,
so people can really talk about reparations for Black students and what does that mean, right? And
yeah.
get right and I love that it's a listening session because
Hmm.
oftentimes I feel like I go to these things it's like and I do too. You know, I've been in this movement long enough. Everything starts with political education. So there's like, I got, somebody, there was something that happened this weekend and they were like, something happened. And I was like, you should go home, take care of that. I'll do the workshop. And they were like,
Hmm.
or the training. And they said, and this is not to be all braggy, but like, they were like, but this was my role, I feel like. And I was like, I have done enough
Yeah,
trainings that if
yeah.
you just drop me in, gave me the paperwork, I know how to run it. So, and then plus I knew what the issues were we were dealing with, but I really love that, we usually start off with that political education, right? There's always
Hmm.
like, let me teach you. But when I think of this, when I hear it called a listening session,
Hmm.
it makes me go, oh, they are really rooted in the transformational, which
Yeah,
is let's hear where you're at and then let's go from there.
yeah. Well, that's the key is the healing centered piece. I think is really what separates it because that's where you get that transformative nature.
Right.
Because honestly, there's still extractive behaviors,
That's
and
right.
I hate to say it. And we were all sharpening each other, and we're all doing the best we can. And well, that's a whole nother session. But what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, once again, our institutions mean well, but
Right.
are you doing this work, this quote unquote green lining work?
Right.
Like it even has a whole nother term. Like, well,
Right.
we'll get to that heart stuff and that healing work, but we have to get this bottom line. See, the problem is your bottom line keep getting messed up because your people's hearts and minds ain't in the right place. They don't want to work
That's
for you
right.
no more. They're burnt
That's
out.
right.
They're burnt. They don't trust your leadership. They don't feel valued by you. Really, all they're doing, and they're afraid. America has us in fear of living to our full potential. Period. I don't want to say America, but the world. We don't want to live to our full potential. We're afraid of that because we might not make the money we want, or this check, my lights might get cut off. It's by
Man, that
design.
capitalism.
That capitalism shit. But once we break out of that, and you're really like all this mind to have, and guess what? There's enough abundance in the world. You know,
Woo.
there's no scarcity in the world. Like, look, come on.
Oh, cut out for just a second, right at that moment. I really, that to me also, I'm sure Sisway is dropping gems right now. Is this me? He's dropping gems, y'all. I'm pretty sure. But I think like the abundance piece is such a key moment. Um, and I hope that the connection comes back soon and he's able to hop back on because that I think is one of the biggest pieces is really being able to think about and shifting that extractive model is really is one that makes us get to that place where then we think we are living in a world of scarcity. And in fact, we live with abundance. We live with abundance of love and people and community. Um, and and that we can move to a place of moving away from thinking about in those extractive ways because then it becomes extractive because we think that we're living with scarcity. But if we're living with abundance and that we could be like, oh, we have enough for everybody to live and thrive and care for each other, that time, even in and of itself, is is just a concept, right? And that we don't have to even be beholden to that moment. So hopefully Sizwe will be able to hop on this last part, but if he doesn't, you all should make sure that you go to Justice for Oakland School, Justice for Oakland's students, and you'll be able to follow along with what's happening with the reparations for Black students. And they will have a list of sessions, of these listening sessions that are happening across the city. So go ahead and check out those dates. I believe they're going through until the beginning of December. And so you get to go be in the presence of Spearitwurx and all the work that they're doing, and hear and be able to share. I think this is one of the biggest pieces when we talk about reparations and we talk about what it really means. And as a non-Black person, of color, living in Oakland, having grown up here and understanding the impact of racism on Black families and Black communities, and then the ways in which not only that I have been impacted by that as well, but also that I am privileged to live with, is that I truly believe that when we build a community that centers the liberation of Black folks, that we will also be liberated. And this is a floor that we can all stand on together. We can look at it on a local level, and we can look at it on a global level as well. And that if we were to really look at the ways that we can decolonize not only our ways of thinking, but the ways in which our institutions are functioning, that we will be liberated. So I don't think Sizwe is going to be able to hop back on, but I really want to give shout out to them. You can go to Spearitwurx. It's spelled SPEAR, like the spear. Works is WURX.com, Spearitwurx.com. You can check out their work. You can check out Cooking with Faya, sorry. It's Cooking with Faya, COOKINGFYAFYAH. You can find him on the socials, and check out his catering so you can be nourished. And maybe the next Monday meals, you show up with a meal from him, and then continue to support the reparations for Black students at OUSD as we move forward. So there is a listening session tonight in West Oakland. So be sure to tap in and check that out, and share. And then lastly, Oakland Rising, we are doing a couple things this week. We have redistricting. Tomorrow, we're going to have another town hall on redistricting. It's really important for us to be talking about this because it is about drawing district lines and looking at political power in Oakland. And so come out to that so you can learn how to give your input. We'll have little breakout rooms and breakout sessions for folks. There will be ASL, closed captioning, Spanish and Cantonese interpretation. And then Wednesday, we're having our last volunteer phone banking for our current We Are California campaign that we're doing with California Calls. If you check out last week's Monday meals, you'll be able to learn a little bit more about it. So go check that out. We'd love for you to come out and do some phone banking, talk to people about taxing the rich, about climate justice, about housing justice, and care for all. How do we get all of these things? And you'll get to help build a movement. And then lastly, if you really are enjoying Monday meals and what we're doing here, and want to continue to follow us, you follow us on all the socials. You can go to oaklandrising.org, sign up for our newsletter. You can also go there and make a donation, oaklandrising.org/donate to donate. And we'll check you out. Check you out next week. Show up next week. Next week, we're going to be talking to some folks from the labor movement about the Kaiser strike. If y'all aren't following the news, know that Kaiser workers are going out on strike. We know that there's a lot of movement here in Oakland, but around the country, around the labor movement. So you can learn about what the demands are, what the strike is for, and how you can support next week. And then the week after that, we'll be talking to the folks who are leading a campaign to unionize workers for HelloFresh. And we could hear about their struggle, but also the ways that they're fighting back. And hopefully we'll win with your support. Okay, so peace. Have a good week. Have a good day.